Hi, my name is Chef Steve. I'm going to show you a couple cooking tips today. These are little shortcuts that I've learned throughout my done demonstrations for almost 25 years. First of all, purchasing a knife. What you're actually looking for, this is an 8-inch and a 10-inch knife right here. The biggest difference between these two is the bolster. You can see the bolster is actually right here. And what chefs do a lot of times when they cut, they'll hold on to that bolster and they'll do a rocking motion. Now the problem I have with this though is when I go to sharpen these knives, if I'm putting them on a sharpening stone, you really want to stay away from the grinding wheels, sending your knives out, having them sharpened that way, because a knife that's this big may end up being this big, that much smaller. So when you're using a technique here to sharpen, it's the same way that you use a sharpening steel. This is a steel. The steel actually just straightens the edge on the knife, removes some of the burrs. It doesn't actually sharpen the knife itself. They do have some sharpening steels that you can actually work with, but this isn't one of them. And the way that I'm actually going to show you how to use this steel is the same way you'd actually learn to sharpen a knife. You can buy a stone at your local hardware store, a sharpening stone with two sides, a coarse side and a fine side. Let me show you how important this is. I'm holding this sharpening steel. I put my thumb here, so when I come across this way, I hit here. If I had it here, I could probably also cut my hand. So when I'm sharpening something here, I'll turn to the side so you can actually see this a little bit better. And when I do this, I take my knife, I go at a 90-degree angle, half of that is 45, and half is about 22.5. So I'm going to use that same angle when I sharpen with a sharpening steel. When I come across 90, 45, 22, that's the heel of the knife, that's the tip of the knife right here. So when I actually sharpen, I want to come down across. Okay, I'm not even coming actually close to my hand. You'll find you work in some kitchens, some people are showing off, doing different things. It takes about 8 to 10 times to actually put an edge on this knife. When I have this, all that I want to do, 90, 45, 22, and when I cut, down across this way. See it? About 9 times, 8 to 9 times, and I'm done. I put the steel down. You can see this doesn't have a bolster either. This has the bolster. The problem with having a bolster when you're cutting something fibrous like a piece of celery, you'll find those little strands that you have in there, they'll get caught. And what happens is it creates a little bevel right here. So when a chef works, a lot of times they'll work with the back part of the knife, doing a rocking motion this way. So I'm cutting here. All that I want to do is when you cut, you never move the item. You only move your hand back. Okay? So when I cut, my hands are tucked the whole way. I just bring my hands back. Right here, I have to go the whole way up here to cut myself. I don't want to do that. I'm sure you don't want to see that either. So when I'm cutting something, when I cut, I just move my hands back, right back across. And I can feel where the knife is. I'm going back right across. When you scrape, never scrape the blade. Turn your knife over and scrape this way. Okay, I could do the same thing if I wanted to make a lot of noise. If I worked in the kitchen with another 15 or 20 people, or in a classroom with 20 students, I could chop like this, the same type of way. Here again, that's a lot of noise. Scrape at the back part. Teaching's all about repetition. Just follow these steps. When I cut, never move the item. Just bring my hand back. My hand is tucked. You see it? Just bring it right back across. I'm cutting, just nice and easy. So I'm going to go with the other knife. It's a larger knife. It's the same principle. It's almost the size of a cleaver. You can cut the same way. Just cut right back across. Close my eyes. I don't want to show off, but I've been doing this for about 25 years. I just cut right back across. I cut it twice. Then again, nice and quiet. Nice and quiet. The chef's going to work that way. Right back across. That's how you use a French knife. Now there's many different types of knives. What most chefs have in their toolkit is and what you should actually buy for home use is a French knife. I prefer the one without a bolster. You can see there's no bolster here. This one has a bolster. There's 3 different types of knives here right now. They're all chef's knives, but they're 3 different brands. Another knife you should have is a paring knife. Now this one does have a bolster. Some of the knives that I actually have here has a bolster. This is actually a little turning knife to shape vegetables a different way. Should you have that in your kit? This is probably for the more advanced type chef, person working in the kitchen itself. So we have these tools. Another knife you might have is a serrated knife. A serrated knife, this is actually called an offset serrated knife. I have a couple of different types. This one is actually great for cutting breads. You shouldn't cut breads with a regular French knife. Another knife I have is a boning knife. Right here. This is a boning knife. That's for working with different types of meats. It's actually a flex blade boning knife. And they say always to follow the bone when you go across. So these are many different types of knives. You have to buy what you feel comfortable with. Now, there's many different great products out there right now. I don't pick a specific brand. It's what you feel comfortable with. What it should have is this full tang. See these 3 rivets right here? It means that the blade goes the whole way to the back. It makes a much more balanced knife that way. So when you're actually, when a chef works, you see the knife is balanced, meaning the handle weighs as much as the blade itself does. So it's a much more balanced. Put it this way, when you're working in a kitchen for 8, 10, 12 hours a day, you'll be tired. And I actually raised up this table some to make it a higher height so I can demonstrate for you. So I'm cutting here, I'm just a rocking motion. Okay, I'm not chopping across like this. I'm rocking. I'll turn that sideways, you can actually see that. So I'm cutting here, the way a chef works, I rock. See how my finger goes a little bit past it, right here? I can do that with a bolster or without a bolster also. But it's the same method, right back across. And the same thing I told you earlier is you never move the item you're cutting, you only move your hand back. I have it here, you can cut back across. I'll show you a little cutting tip right here. It's one of the greatest tips you'll ever learn in the kitchen.